My name is Dr. Mirabel Huang. I'm 69 years old, retired forensic psychologist, widow of a maritime engineer who died saving 2 crew members during the 2029 North Sea collapse. I've testified in over 400 legal cases, consulted for national security, and written 3 books on manipulation in long-term domestic abuse. And yet nothing prepared me for what I found in my mailbox last Thursday. It looked harmless, cream-colored envelope, embossed return address, Pacific Tranquility Cognitive Wellness Living. I assumed it was junk mail, but the envelope was addressed directly to me not as resident or MS Huang, but as incoming patient, Dr. Mirabel Huang, admitting physician, Dr. E. Levant, legal sponsor, Lucas Huang. Lucas, my only son, my baby. I sat on the porch, heart racing as I pulled out the brochure. Inside was a glossy welcome packet detailing my new lifestyle suite: memory care, medication management, supervised finance assistance. Finance assistance. They had even scheduled a private car to pick me up the following Monday. I hadn't signed any consent. I hadn't even spoken to Lucas in a week. The last time we talked, he had dropped by with takeout and a box of those blueberry lemon cookies I like. He kissed my forehead, told me to rest more. That eye seemed tired lately. Tired. I just finished guest lecturing a seminar on pathological deception at Dalhousie University, and now I was being pre-booked for a dementia care facility. I opened my laptop and pulled up the website for Pacific Tranquility. There it was, my name. Future resident, accompanied by a smiling stock photo of an elderly Asian woman in a wheelchair, reading a book she'd never chosen. My stomach dropped when I clicked on the legal authorization tab. There, in fine print, guardianship rights granted to Mr. Lucas R. Huang, as approved by Dr. Evan Levant, following signs of progressive cognitive decline as documented over a 6-month observation period. Observation period? This had to be a mistake. A fraud. Dr. Levant. I knew that name. Evan Levant was a neurologist I'd worked with back in 2032, and he died of a heart attack 4 years ago. So who was pretending to be him? My fingers didn't shake from age. They shook from fury. Because in that moment, I knew something I hadn't dared to believe until now. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was an operation, a takeover. And my son, my own flesh and blood, was involved. Maybe not alone, maybe not as the mastermind, but involved. I opened a locked cabinet under my desk, pulled out an old, dust-covered burner phone, when I hadn't touched since retiring from the task force. I dialed a number I hadn't used in 12 years. It rang twice. Agent Devansky, who's this? Mirabel Huang. I need a quiet consult. Internal, family-related, elder fraud, possible identity falsification. I think I'm being targeted. There was silence on the line. Then, I'll be in Halifax by morning. Don't open any more envelopes. But it was too late, because that envelope had already opened a door, one that would lead straight into a federal investigation. And I was done being polite. When Agent Devansky arrived the next morning, he didn't come in a government car. He drove a rental. No badge, no files, just a thermos of black coffee and a face that hadn't aged much since our last classified case. "Tell me everything," he said, sitting across from me at my kitchen table, where Lucas used to build Lego castles. I handed him the envelope, showed him the website, the falsified signature of a dead doctor, the mental decline claims that had never been evaluated. He read in silence. Then he looked up. "This isn't amateur work. Whoever set this up has run this play before." My blood turned colder than the Halifax wind. "Lucas isn't that smart," I said, "but his fiancée is. Her name is Amira Voss, age 35, degrees in elder care management and data analytics. founder of a startup called Thrive Ease, a subscription service for remote monitoring of seniors. It sounds noble on the surface. Peace of mind, fall detection, AI-driven medication schedules. But the more I looked, the more I noticed what wasn't there. No client testimonials, no independent audits, and a sudden burst of funding last year from a shell firm in Belize. I taught entire seminars on people like her, women who camouflage greed as caregiving, who weaponize intimacy, who isolate, manipulate, and then eliminate obstacles. And in this case, the obstacle was me. I told Devansky everything I'd noticed over the past 6 months. Luca's subtly asking about my will. Amira suggesting a new sleep supplement. The locked file cabinet that someone had opened and reclosed slightly crooked. And then there was the tablet. Lucas had left his personal iPad at my house after his last visit. Said he'd come back for it later. I didn't think much of it at the time until that envelope showed up. I powered it on, expecting the lock screen. No passcode, just a custom home screen that read, "Welcome back, baby speech balloon." He must have thought I was too old to know how to check apps. I went into the voice memo folder. There were dozens. Most were harmless, shopping lists, meeting reminders, one weird one of him humming a jazz tune. But one stood out. File folder voice 0043 a plus notes Amira. M4A. Timestamp 2 weeks ago. Length 1 min 56 seconds. I pressed play. Lucas, don't be soft. The guardianship papers already signed. You told me she's losing it, so either you're lying to me or your mom really is slipping. Either way, once she's in tranquility, the transfer is automatic. It's legal, it's clean. We go in, take care of the accounts, get the house on the market. Done. Silence, then her voice again. Unless you want to keep dragging this out and wait for her to die naturally, but that could take years. My throat went dry. I copied the file, twice. Once to a secure drive. Once to an encrypted cloud archive under a pseudonym I used back in 2031. Devansky listened to it twice. No reaction, just a slow exhale and the words, "We can nail her for attempted fraud, maybe coercion, but if you want a stronger case," he trailed off, "you'll need to let this play out. You want me to pretend I don't know what they are doing? Yes, let them feel safe, let them think you're folding. If Amira's done this before, she'll get cocky." I stared at the folder on my desktop. My son's name, my own future, packaged like a corporate merger. That night, I called Lucas. "Hi, sweetheart, listen, I've been thinking about the memory center." His voice lit up. "Really? That's great, Mom. I think it's the best place for. Would Amira have time to come over this weekend? I'd love to hear more about her company, what she does. Maybe she can help me transition." There was a pause. Yeah, I'm sure she'd love that." "Good," I said softly. "Tell her I'll make lemon ginger tea, the one she likes, because next time she stepped foot in my house, she'd be walking straight into a silent crime scene. And I'd be the one holding the evidence." I wasn't new to lies. I'd spent decades unmasking corporate sociopaths, cult recruiters, and post-trauma manipulators. But there was something especially cruel about the kind of lie that smiles at you while tying your hands behind your back. The kind of lie that calls itself a diagnosis. Amira showed up on Saturday like a brand ambassador for weaponized empathy. Flowy linen dress, rose-colored glasses, a gift bag of herbal teas with a handwritten note. "For peace of mind, now and always 2 hearts, Amira." We drank tea in my sunroom, the spring light casting long shadows over her carefully curated sincerity. She spoke in soft, soothing tones, all about transitions, dignity, and how the Thrive Ease system was designed for families navigating aging with grace. "We're not trying to take anything away from you, Mirabel," she said, placing a gentle hand on mine. "We just want to help before things get harder." I tilted my head. "And what things would those be exactly?" "You know," she said, lowering her voice. "Confusion, memory gaps, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Dr. Levant has already noted early-stage cognitive erosion. She said it like she was telling me I had a cold. Later that night, I accessed the diagnostic evaluation Thrive Ease had uploaded to my supposed patient portal. Evaluator, Dr. Evan Levant. Findings: progressive short-term memory disruption, difficulty following multi-step instructions, signs of mild disorientation during conversations. Recommendation: long-term memory care with financial oversight. Except I know Dr. Levant. I buried him in 2039. He'd had a heart attack on a hiking trail. His obituary was framed in my bookshelf. I gave the eulogy, but there his name was attached to a medical file dated 3 months ago. I ran the metadata through forensic software Devansky had provided. Result: signature was pasted from a 2034 insurance document. Timestamp was spoofed from an AI-signed scheduling app. IP address: Dubai. This isn't just fraud, I told Devansky the next morning. This is identity theft, medical forgery. This is federal time. He nodded grimly. And if she faked the doctor, she's probably faked the authorization forms too. We pulled the real guardianship filing, the one that supposedly gave Lucas full control of my life. At first glance, it looked legit. Official stamps, notarized, digital signature from the Ministry of Social Care. But there was a problem. The notary, retired in 2040. The ministry seal, outdated. The department had rebranded in 2041. They'd used an old template. Amateurs with confidence, dangerous combo. Devansky leaned back. This is enough to bring her in. Wire fraud, false medical declaration, elder abuse attempt. I shook my head. No, not yet. Mirabel. I want Lucas to see it, to hear it. The kind of woman he's marrying, he doesn't need an arrest report. He needs undeniable truth. Devansky exhaled. Then we record. Next dinner, we go full surveillance. Audio, video, and GPS fallback, I said without hesitation. He looked at me for a long moment. You're not a retired psychologist, Mirabel. You're a damn sting operation in a silk scarf. 3 nights later, I invited Lucas and Amira over for one final discussion before I signed the transfer papers. Lucas brought flowers. Amira brought a smile that didn't reach her eyes. And I brought a necklace that wasn't just jewelry, it was evidence in progress. Because this time, every blink, every breath, every fake promise of we just want what's best for you, was being recorded. The night of the dinner, I wore my mother's old pearls, or so they thought. In reality, the string of pearls around my neck housed a 360-degree audio recorder with noise isolation, voice tagging, and a 12-hour battery life. Compliments of Agent Devansky's less-than-legal connections. The earrings, cameras, the ring, location beacon. My living room had never looked so clean, so rigged. At 6:47 p.m. they arrived. Lucas brought a bottle of red I didn't ask for. Amira brought herself in white again like she was dressing for a premature inheritance. We sat at the table like any other family. Mother, son, soon-to-be daughter-in-law, beef stew simmering in the background, linen napkins, small talk. You've really kept the place beautiful, Mom, Lucas said, avoiding eye contact. Trying, I said. Takes energy, though, but maybe not for long. I let the sentence hang. Amira leaned in. We're just grateful you're open to the next phase, Mirabel. This isn't goodbye to independence, it's a new kind. Of course, I said sweetly. And thank you both for handling the paperwork. I know guardianship isn't easy to manage. They both smiled, but Lucas's smile faltered just for half a second. We really tried to make it seamless, Amira continued. We didn't want to burden you with details. Dr. Levant's report speaks for itself. Yes, I said, stirring my tea. He's always been so thorough, it's amazing he still is, considering he's been dead 4 years. That landed like a hammer. Lucas's spoon froze midair. Amira blinked once, just once, but it was a crack in the mask. What? Lucas asked, voice low, tense. I turned to him. Doctor, Evan Levant died on Mount Cabot, March 27th, 2039. Cardiac arrest. I was at the funeral. Silence. Then who signed the evaluation? He asked, turning to Amira. That's not possible. The system must have pulled the wrong. The notary on the guardianship was retired. The ministry seal was outdated. The IP used for the uploads traced back to Dubai. I stood up slowly, calm, steady. Let me say it plainly. What you've both done isn't just unethical. It's a federal offense. Fraud, medical falsification, attempted elder abuse. Lucas looked like someone had dumped ice water on his chest. Mom, I just signed what Amira told me was routine. You signed over my rights. Because she said you were forgetting things, you left the stove on twice. I was testing you, I said quietly, to see if you'd repeat it to her, and you did. You don't understand, he said. She said it was to protect you, that if we waited too long, we'd lose the legal window. Lucas, I interrupted. There's a wire in this room recording every word, and it's been active since 7:01 p.m. His jaw dropped. Amira stood up. You tricked us. No, I said. You tried to bury me in a facility while smiling through your teeth. That's not family, that's strategy, and I'm done being your target. Outside, 2 black vehicles waited in silence. Devansky was in one of them, watching the feed in real time. Another agent sat across the street, parked beside a neighbor's garage. I reached into my kitchen drawer and pulled out a document. This is a printed revocation of guardianship assignment. I'll be filing it in the morning. I turned to Lucas. You have until 9 a.m. to decide whether you want to cooperate with federal investigators or be arrested next to your fiancé. Amira's face twisted into something reptilian, cold, calculating. You won't get far. You don't know what you're starting. I stared her dead in the eye. You're wrong. This isn't the start. This is the end. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Lucas lingered, face pale, mouth open, silent. Mom, save it. I didn't know. Then you were either blind or complicit. Either way, you've got a choice to make. He left without saying goodbye. The moment the door closed, I whispered to my pendant. All clear. The line crackled. We've got everything, Devansky's voice came through. And Mirabel, that was brutal. I didn't answer. I just picked up their untouched wine glasses, poured the liquid into the sink, and opened the back window. Let the wind carry out the scent of the lie they tried to serve me, because by morning, they'd both be on a list they never saw coming. At 6:08 a.m., the sound of boots on gravel snapped me awake. Through my window, I saw 2 unmarked SUVs and a third van marked Canada Federal Investigations Bureau. Across the street, the early-rising neighbor paused in his bathrobe, coffee mug halfway to his lips. It was happening. Amira Voss was arrested at her condo just outside Halifax's Innovation District. Charges: attempted financial fraud, elder abuse, falsification of medical records, digital identity theft, conspiracy to obtain unlawful guardianship. Federal, not provincial, not civil. She didn't go quietly. You'll regret this, she screamed as they loaded her into the van, but her voice was drowned out by the press shutter clicks already piling outside her startup's glass doors. Thrive Ease had just died. Lucas wasn't arrested. Not yet. He was summoned. To the station, to the table, to a choice. Option A: cooperate, testify, turn over every document and message chain Amira had sent. Option B: be charged as co-conspirator and risk federal prison time. He hesitated for nearly 2 hours, and then finally, he folded. She told me it was about protecting Mom, he said to the investigators. She said if we didn't act fast, the money would get tied up or worse. Go to the government. I believed her. I let her make me afraid of my own mother's future. They asked him, "Did you ever stop to ask your mother what she wanted?" His silence said everything. When I arrived to testify at the preliminary hearing, Amira refused to look at me. Lucas did. and for the first time in nearly a year, his eyes weren't guarded or ashamed. They were clear. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered. "I let someone else decide who you were instead of asking you." I nodded. "You don't get to rewrite the past, Lucas, but you can help write what happens next." The fallout came fast. National news picked it up. Startup darling turns federal suspect in shocking elder care fraud. Reporters swarmed Halifax's court steps. Thrive Ease's board disbanded. Investors pulled out. Clients filed civil lawsuits. 3 other families came forward with eerily similar stories. One woman said her father was transferred into care 2 weeks after signing over his home. Another said her aunt had been drugged and deemed unfit before her insurance payout was redirected. Amira's name was now precedent. Her case would be cited in federal ethics reform hearings for years to come. Lucas was sentenced to a 12-month suspended sentence, 5 years of probation, and 200 hours of public service with a senior justice initiative. And me, I didn't go into a care facility. I bought one, with a grant, with a new board, with a name I chose. Huang House, a community for independent aging, not a charity, a message that we are not weak just because we're older, that gray hair is not a vulnerability, that your mother is not your stepping stone. 3 months after the trial, Lucas helped paint the garden fence of Huang House. He didn't ask for thanks. He just showed up, quiet, consistent, humbled. "Mom," he said one morning, "can I ever earn back your trust?" I looked at him, the man, the boy I raised, the stranger I almost lost. "You're earning it, one fence post at a time." And Amira, she took a plea. 7 years, no parole. She now sleeps in a facility with cameras, guards, and no startup pitch to hide behind. The only thing she's building is time. Sometimes justice doesn't come with a gavel or a headline. Sometimes it comes with a pearl necklace, a steady hand, and a voice that doesn't tremble when it says, "I see what you're doing, and I'm not going quietly. Not now, not ever."